And there he is, I think.
Welcome to the Matt Mercer Power Hour.
I've got to get me a Matt Mercer neck tattoo.
This is the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher.
I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay, and oh man, do we have all sorts of stuff to talk about this week.
Because not gonna bitch about things for once.
Because PAX was this week. All right, so, but ignoring PAX, let me start off with my Ollie's trip.
Okay, well before that, I do want to say one thing.
All right.
We post our YouTube. We post on our YouTube the podcast that we do each week, and we don't put any effort into it whatsoever.
Yeah,
because Jay's in charge of that.
I am.
Yeah. Well, posting the podcast.
Oh yeah, that I am.
So you're the ones you're the one that goes out there and you edit the podcast. You take out some problems. You sometimes are problems, whatever.
Yeah, like last week. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah. And then you title it something, and usually you forget what we talked about, so you just title it something random.
A lot of times, yes.
But I want you to know is that the episode 160 from 2 weeks ago, Matt Mercer neck tattoo and the people who want them.
Yep.
Is one of the highest viewed videos. I think specifically because you
titled Matt Mercer
and it tied in together. Like, I know you don't do any SEO optimization with the MP3 file or the titles, or you don't look up any words that the key phrases. Nor is this the podcast for that to happen. We're trying to live our lives off this. We're trying to have fun.
Yep.
But I just
using his name alone got people to watch that video, or at least click it initially.
Yeah,
because clickbait titles work, as we all know.
So this title, you have to think of the most clicky baitiest title possible, and we'll see how it goes.
Oh Lord, you're requiring a lot from me right now to think of anything.
I think you should D&D 2024 leaks or something along those lines.
D&D fires Matt Mercer.
They didn't hire him. We will talk about D&D leaks, so that the title's not misleading. That is the whole topic that we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah, there you go.
But yeah, let's talk about Ollie's first. So Ollie's, went out to Ollie's because.
Yeah, so for anyone who is not aware, because I know Ollie's is not everywhere, but Ollie's is this bulk bullshit chain company, kind of like Big Lots or whatever. They just buy overstock stuff and then sell it really cheap. And you can go in there, you can get all sorts of snack foods for almost very little. You can get comic books occasionally. And apparently they're having this sale where they've managed to buy Dungeons & Dragons campaign cases.
Well, not just the campaign cases.
And the Warriors of Krynn board game. As well, they've got a number of the action figures from either the movie or from the the 1980s animated series. I just love the fact that they're selling these campaign cases for $3 a piece when Wotc was selling them at $60, I think, or $65. And
it wasn't that much.
It was like $50 or so. It was high because we talked about it on the podcast when they were first selling them. And we were kind of cracking jokes about they just aren't really that, it's the monster. Sorry, it was was it monsters or miniatures? I think it was miniatures. And there was miniatures and terrain. And the terrain is just a box of basic bulk terrain with some stick-ons for furniture and doorways and shit like that. And then the miniatures are literally just poker chips with stick-ons. And this was selling it was at least $40 to $50. So obviously they didn't sell well, and Ollie's purchased a massive bulk lot of these things for almost pennies on the dollar and are selling them at $3 a piece. Now I had heard about it the day before, and I was out thrifting doing what I do, and I was coming out of a thrift store and I looked over to my right, and I mean, goddamn, there's an Ollie's right there. So I went in there, looked around. I found the D&D 80s action figures But that was the only thing I found there. And it was the same 3 that you were talking about that you've seen a million times, but couldn't find the other 3.
Yeah, it was the
like the barbarian, the acrobat, and the archer.
Yeah, the ranger, the acrobat, and the barbarian, and you could also find the dungeon master and the evil guy, whatever his name was.
Yeah, Vengar. But yeah, they didn't have the dungeon master or Vengar. So anyway, the next day rolls around. I'm sitting at home. I'm like, man, I want to go see if I can find these things, because I kept seeing it popping up on my feed. People just talking about what they found at Ollie's. So I drove to 2 other Ollies that day. The first one had nothing. The second one, I walked in, and the only thing I found was a single Warriors of Krynn board game for $10, which, this thing, it's $40 or $50 normally. So I'm checking out, and as I'm checking out, the cashier's like, "Hey, are you looking for any more stuff? We've got more in the back." I was like, "Yes, yes, I am." So they were nice enough to go back there, get me a couple of campaign they only had the terrain. So I got 2 of the terrain cases for a total of $6 plus tax. And then I found out more later on. Apparently, they're supposed to be having a sale or something starting on the 7th. So that's when everything should be out. So for the people listening to this, I guess it would be on the 5th. That means on the 7th, you could go and check your local Ollies and see if they have this stuff. For me, I'm just going to be looking for miniatures case.
So for me, Ollie's, there's only one Ollie's anywhere near me here in South Carolina, and we frequent it about every month or so, because while it is an overstock store, okay, they always have some kind of weird overstock that's just the best thing ever.
It's a good overstock store. I admit, I like Ollie's.
So essentially, like, if you've ever gone into a very shady warehouse full of stuff with people who do not want to be there at all ever, that's what an Ollie's is.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's lovely.
So, like, our Ollie's has this big book section and always has a bunch of books that are like, oh, that book's very interesting. I'd never buy it, but it's interesting, Yeah. Like, they had one there that was like the art, the art of David Bowie. Like, oh, that's cool, that's interesting. I might buy that. But then it has like the art of like cats and the art of dogs and the art of StarCraft, and just like,
See, my local Ollies, they all have. There's a couple of shelves just completely full of like trade paperback comics.
Yeah, they have one aisle that's just comics, but it's all mishmash. So you'd have to spend hours going through all the comics to find the comics that you're looking for.
Sure.
So if you wanted, like, the Hulk, good luck finding one.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have them. They definitely had Hulk at the one I went to, but it's also in there with X-Men, and it's just all just sort of a mishmash of things.
Right.
And Lord knows from what years they're from.
We went there because they were selling Monster energy drinks, like some nitro coffee brew that my wife likes. And we walk in, and they had just cases of it, so we bought a couple cases. It was like $2 per case. I'm like, all right, yeah, whatever.
That's a heart attack waiting to happen.
We don't drink it all at once.
Yeah, but at $2 a piece for a case, you can keep yourself fueled for quite a long time.
Yeah, it lasted me a day. Anyways, so mine just had the Warriors of Krynn board game, which I bought 2 of, and I bought 4 campaign cases. And I'll go back probably on Thursday and see what they have. But honestly, I would not pay more than $3 for that campaign case. I haven't really opened the Warriors of Krynn box set yet, but I know there's some minis in it.
Yeah, there are
board game
6
minis. Yeah, board game minis are kind of always weak, but minis are minis, and $10 for minis, I spend $10 to buy. I spend $30 buying 5 minis,
Yeah.
So I may buy a couple more of those just to get the 6 minis and then throw the rest away. I mean, I'll recycle the remaining.
No, you mean give me the remaining.
Why would you want the remaining sans the minis?
So I can expand my Warriors of Krynn board game.
What do you mean expand it?
I get creative. If I have more pieces, I make bigger maps. Make my own scenarios. Because
I'm keeping anything that's worthwhile. You can have all the rubbish, the cards.
Well, the cards and the tiles and stuff. So the game, I haven't read the entire rules, but it's actually pretty in depth, and you play through different scenarios.
Like every other D&D board game, yeah.
Yeah, more or less. But you play through scenarios. Your characters go up in levels, but it's done differently than the previous ones. This one is more of it's more. I don't want to say it's risk style, but you're fighting a war, so you're hiring mercenaries and things like that along the way.
Totally D&D.
Yeah, well, it is totally Dragonlance. That actually is rather accurate for Dragonlance, and accurate for first and second edition D&D.
What they did say is that you should be able to use the board game to play Dragonlance from 5e, and they never included that in the book. So, is what it is. The campaign case was to the train one, which is what you got. Which my understanding is the creature case is pretty much the same way, where you have a default set of like cardboard terrain pieces, or in the creature case, little stand-up pieces, and you have this like little film tack that you can basically put the monster on and rip it off and reuse it as much as you want. Now
let's be realistic.
In 4th edition, they used the same cardboard material to make all of their terrain kits, okay? And those were awesome. It was like Legos for me. Like, I would buy all the terrain kits, buy multiple copies of it, and like put them all together and like build these huge intricate maps together, and it was a lot of fun. And in the campaign case, there's one big fold-out board that could be like castle flooring or castle or stone flooring, and the other side is grass. And then they had a bunch of tile pieces that you could individually connect together, which I did check does connect to the old board games and does connect to the old battle terrain from the battle boxes they had during 4th edition.
Yeah.
So it's all pretty much leftovers from 4th edition. Okay. So I looked through the sticky things to kind of see like what images they have for you could lay out a dungeon with, and all the images are basically the art from 4th edition that I already have with the really cool terrain pieces. Now the terrain pieces, all you need is Scotch tape, and you put a little piece on the bottom, and you can stick it to the board, and it comes off easy, and it doesn't rip the board at all. However, with the sticky film, okay, which does work, you're only going to get like 1 or 2 uses out of it until it all starts sticking together, because you can't put it back once you tear it off once.
Right.
It's really a shitty product, in my opinion. Like, yeah, the board is cool. I'd pay $3 for that board, that big fold-out board, but that's really about it.
The fold-out board is nice, and I'm actually holding it in my hand right now, and there are 30 interlocking tiles. So it's not like a small amount by any means. Plus the carrying case is actually rather nice. The sticky film stuff you're talking about, that's mostly a waste. I'll probably never use it, or if I do, I'll just throw it away after one use or something. But
the thing is you can't draw on those and erase them.
Yeah, sure. It's not a draw and erase map, but if you have if you have like Pathfinder tiles to lay out and stuff, or if you already have, if you make or have, I'm trying to think of what the word is, but kind of like Dungeon Forge minis, doorways and things like that, or just lay things out. It's a solid thing to get a base down to operate off of.
What I had done, and this is in an old computer that I have stored away in my closet now, but it might be worth, if I ever get back around to not using Incarnate to make my maps. I had scanned in all the tile sets from the 4th edition before I popped them out of the framing. So I would then have the images, and then basically Photoshop and cut out the images when I wanted to use them, and print them out on a piece of paper, and that I had appropriately sized. And then I cut them out, and I just taped them to the board. So I'd have like my cardboard mini pieces, and then I'd have like little paper pieces to kind of fill in the gaps, as it were. And it worked out really well. I mean, that's how I played 4th edition, and it worked out really great. But now that VTT is a common thing, the campaign cases are competing with me building a map in Incarnate and streaming it to a TV at my table. And I don't think that the campaign case would ever win in that scenario anymore. Like, that wasn't available for us in 4th, but it is available for us now. There's tons of maps on the internet. You just Google what you want, add the word battle map afterward, and you'll find 100 variations of what you need. So you just grab one, throw it into your VTT, stream it to your TV that's laying flat on your kitchen table, and you're done, and you're good. And you're
For the people who have a table with a television strapped into it who want to go through that, then
you don't need to have it strapped into. You just lay it down on top of the kitchen table.
Yeah, I know people do that. That's not me.
And that's not you, because you're an old grumpy fart.
I don't need to. I've got the terrain tiles right behind me, and I bought 2 of them for $6.
you will not find any great need out of that. And like I said, if you combine it with all the other really cool tile sets from 4th edition,
you don't understand how I DM. Most of the time they just get a battle mat that's laid out and dice for markers, and my players are absolutely fucking happy with it. So
the problem is like you're selling like Russian gruel from the 1920s, and I'm like, well, I got fried chicken here from
the I think
2000s.
No, it's for people like myself and people who played a long time, it was theater of the mind for a very long time. We didn't have battle mats or anything of that nature. So this is kind of what we're used to. This is what works. You don't need a hell of a lot to run a tabletop game. I know you've got your 8,000 miniatures that you have to break out at every chance you get. You sit there and count them and hoard them like a fucking dragon. And then there's me. I'm the Hobbit. I'm happy in my little hole. I've got everything I need right there.
So you know what springs to mind right now? It's the episode of The Simpsons where Abe Simpson, the grandpa, was trying to prove that he was still young, cool, and hip. And he's like, "Give me that soda," and he drinks the soda, and he goes, "Oh my god, the bubbles are burning my tongue!" Everything you said right there was just me picturing you going, "Oh my god, the minis are ruining my game."
Yeah, see, I don't think minis ruin the game. I use miniatures all the time, but I don't think you have to go as super in depth as what you are used to.
And you realize that what I get into is like
you used to print 25%. out you used to print out full-sized maps for every game session, and that's just obscene.
I still do.
Yeah.
If I buy a printer plotter or someone donates that one to me, I will use that thing more than analogy here. And that would be my godsend, because then I can just take all the maps. I don't have to use a TV. I just have to buy ink, which costs more than gold.
Well, pretty soon you're not going to ever have to worry about it, because everybody is going to play Dungeons and Dragons online on their VTT apparently. So,
yeah. And you know what I'll do is I will take all the maps that I have, and I will print out the ones that you need. Just let me know what you need, and I'll mail them to you. And
you don't have maps that I need, because I do it all homebrew. I make my own shit.
I'm telling you, you will start using maps in the future, and I will mail them to you. And when I send you the maps in the mail, I'm going to use the new D&D stamps. So our next topic is the D&D stamps.
Oh yeah, the hell, so much had happened this week. I had forgotten about that one. I really do want to talk about this VTT thing, because there was some big news. Yeah, there's some big news that came out. I just found out about it right before the podcast.
So we'll get there. So earlier this week, or like Saturday, I think, the United States Post Office announced that part of the D&D 50th anniversary celebration, they're releasing a set of 10 D&D stamps.
I know.
And there'll be a link to the stamps in our podcast.
Probably.
Sorry, in our Discord channel. So you can go look at them directly. But I'm going to describe all 10 stamps to you. Okay? I'm doing this out of order, because this is so far of what I've been able to figure out with the stamps. First stamp is Asarak from the Dungeon Master's Guide, the non-collector's edition cover. in his standard pose. Look at the Dungeon Master Guide. That what the stamp is. The next is a wizard casting magic missile, straight from the player's handbook. Okay. The next is Dritz, Duwarden, cover unknown, but stands Guinevere. So I'm not sure any. Just picture Dritz, and that's the pose he's taking.
Yeah, it's from one of the later books, or maybe even an early book with just a different art, because they've re-released the original books multiple times.
A purple worm, which is the same art from the Monster Manual. The maze spell being cast, which I believe is straight from one of the books that they use. Tiamat, and this Tiamat is it's the same art that they use for the Magic the Gathering card. It's also the poster that they put out and the wall scroll. So it's the standard one. You've seen this one before if you've seen a lot of D&D art. Next is I believe a bronze or copper dragon. Copper dragon. It's a copper dragon. And I did flip through Fizzbangs to try to find it, and I couldn't find it. So I flipped through it again, still couldn't find it, but it's art from somewhere, 5th edition. Next is an artwork from 5th edition, which is a red-headed warrior in full plate mail. And this lady knight is about to pour acidic dragon blood all over her face with a crazed look to get draconic powers, because that's the section of the book that it's in, the draconic powers part of Fizzbands. Why they would use that one and a crazed lady pouring acid on her face. The small, tiny artwork that they use for it does it no justice at all. I found the original artwork and the artist, and it looks amazing. It looks even better in the book.
The picture's completely cropped. You can barely see the dead dragon.
Yeah, it's terrible. The second to last one we're going to talk about, which is the 9 of the 10, is the iconic warrior fighting a red dragon used as the red box art, first edition. And
Larry Elmore art.
Yep. And then some dude on a nightmare horse in front of an army that I have yet to figure out what the fuck this guy is.
I still think it seems likely it's from Descent into Avernus, but I don't know.
It's not from Descent into Avernus. It's not the leader of the Zentarum. It's not the guy on a nightmare horse that is in Descent into Avernus. It's not Uther Pendragon. It's not anything from Greyhawk. I don't think it's anything from Dragonlance. I tried to do reverse image search on it. Could not find that artwork.
It's 5e art. Well, maybe it's something coming out. Could be 5.5.
So I don't know, but I'll mail you the maps with those stamps.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate that. Then I'll have all of the stamps, and I won't have to buy them.
I'm going to use that one stamp with that dude on the nightmare horse. Is the only stamp you get.
Damn it. Yeah, and we talked about it briefly off air, but my only disappointment is that they did nearly all of this is 5e artwork, other than the Elmore art and the one maybe that we couldn't ID. But even it's going to be 5e or 5.5.
I really do wish they used more iconic artwork, like
for a 50th anniversary thing.
Yeah,
they should have started with Errol Otis art and sort of worked their way through to the current edition. You got 10 stamps. That's every 5 years you throw another artist thing up there, because you got a lot to work with here. But other than that, like it's definitely jumped the shark in my opinion, but hey,
I mean, this is the only way USPS is making money, so I don't really think it's a jump the shark thing, but 15th anniversary is a good time to do that. It is a cultural phenomenon, so it does work. The guy, though, who's the art director for the USPS, weird that the USPS has an art director.
I mean, they release stamps every year just like this, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm getting I get the feeling that he's not a role player, or probably like a tabletop role player.
No,
he's probably heard of D&D in passing. I could be totally wrong. I'm just guessing here. And he kind of was like, "Here's the portfolio. Pick something." And they just sent him the 5th edition portfolio.
Yep.
Because there are a lot better pieces they could have chosen. and he did the good. Like, there's some good ones. Like, I like the Purple Worm. I like Acerak. I like Tiamat. I like the Larry Elmore piece. You always have to have fucking Dritz. I mean,
there's
whatever.
Nothing is more iconic. So.
I mean, where's the War Duke? where's the Fizzban? Where's Bahamut?
That's what one of these stamps should have been all of the characters from the animated show.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the D&D logo itself, that dragon ampersand, would have been great instead of maze.
Yep.
And like, why would you choose the represent? Like, the only two spells they have is magic missiles and maze. Magic missiles, I get, a very iconic spell. Fireball is going to be kind of hard in a stamp to done, so just to show off. So I understand that. But like, you couldn't have done like Resilient Sphere or something like that, something that like sparkles and is shiny instead of a dude just trapped in a maze.
Yeah, the maze one is kind of weak.
I think it's a Planescape art for the maze that they used.
Could be. I've yet to see the new Planescape book, so.
Yeah, you know what? You're not going to see the other new book either because it's not coming out till January now.
Which book is that?
The Book of Many Delays.
Yeah, the Vile Dark, or not Vile Darkness, but whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, the Book of Many Delays.
Yeah, the Book of Many Delays, because there was a printing error for the cards and shit. I don't know.
All right.
That shows how much I'm keeping up with all the 5e stuff right now.
So, getting back to your original thing that you want to talk about, PAX was this past weekend.
Yes.
And a lot of stuff was announced. There was a giant panel that included Chris Perkins, Jimmy Crawford, and two other people who are like the lead designers. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. How bad of me. But they talked about the future of D&D, where they were going with the 50th edition, and they essentially showed off the core rule book. Specifically, they showed off the fighter page, and with that, they showed off the new art style for the fighters. And you've seen that, right?
I haven't.
Okay. Well, good. Luckily for you, the link is in our Discord and the podcast chat channel. So the artwork for 5.5 and here on forward, they want to let everybody know that it's called 5th edition.
Yeah,
stop calling it anything else other than 5th edition.
Yeah, so 5.5.
So 5.5. They don't want to call it 1D&D anymore either, because that was too confusing according to everybody.
I mean, we always knew the 1D&D thing was supposed to be a temporary holdover until everyone started calling it 5.5.
So they showcase off the fighter artwork.
Is the fighter artwork? Is that purple guy?
Is that purple guy? No. Click on the article, man.
There it is. I had to scroll down further. Okay, so the dwarf.
Yeah, the dwarf.
I don't hate it.
So it's a little less digital. It's still digital artwork for sure.
Yeah, it is, but that's actually not bad. Like it's a good piece of art.
Yeah. And essentially what they said is that this player's handbook is going to be the biggest player's handbook they've ever released for any edition of Dungeons and Dragons. And it damn better well be, because they're basically saying that you have to buy it again, the player's handbook.
I mean, if it's just 5th edition, then yeah, you have to buy it again, or you're not playing the same edition.
So you have to buy it again, and there will be more material in it than ever before. The new player handbook will feature 48 subclasses, each one receiving unique art for the first time. And this focus on illustration apparently continues throughout the entire book. So it's going to be the biggest book of any release I've ever had.
Let me guess. Those 48 subclasses are the subclasses that already exist in all the other books?
Yes.
Of course they are.
Plus there are new ones that they made along the way.
Yeah. So we're probably getting like 3 new subclasses and all the other ones that are in all the other books that I already own.
Correct. There's going to be a new emphasis on backgrounds with unique feats, which basically is their code word for saying, hey, we're doing those leveled up feats now we use them since Dragonlance that everyone loves so much.
Yeah.
With extensive section with an illustration for each. So this book and they're focused on illustration. They said that each class is going to have a full page drawing done for the class, and then each subclass is going to have art for it. Okay, so this book is going to be 50% art. That's not.
I mean, that's
content.
Yeah, that's not really. I you know me, I do love my art, but I really want content more in a book than art. You know, a piece here, a piece there is fine, but
no, I'm not going to complain about a lot of good art, as long as the content comes with it.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen in the playtest, you know, they're definitely making big strides to, you know, update the classes, make them feel fresh but the same kind of thing. You can kind of, in the image viewer, you can see an example of a fighter of the champion fighter subclass, which basically on the left side is what the champion is, and in the second column is a champion. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, half the page is art. The other half of the page is all the stuff that we need.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't honestly mind that. I don't mind that. But you can't come to me and say, hey, it's going to be the biggest book ever with the most content ever, and then just say, well, half it's going to be art.
I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm already seeing the exact same problems I already have with 5e. Because it's got the champion at level 3 you get a thing, and then at level 5 you get a thing, at level 7 you get a thing. It's why are you not getting a thing at every level?
And you are because the fighter itself gets a thing at the levels that the subclass doesn't get things at.
Yeah, we've done this math before. It doesn't equal up to every level.
Every level there's something.
It's not. A skill increase or some shit like that is not a thing. But anyway,
level 4 is still ASI or feat, but that's not going to change. You know. But anyways, overall, I'm kind of excited for it. You can kind of see there's another sneak peek there where they showed off some of the backgrounds and how they were displaying the backgrounds. So to give some artwork representation for what a acolyte is, or what a charlatan is, or what a hermit is.
But they just show where you lived.
They just show where you've lived. Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
If you're a charlatan, you live at the circus.
Oh, is that okay?
The D&D balloon that's up there, perfect. Love it.
If you're a hermit, you lived in a giant fucking castle in the middle of nowhere by yourself.
Yeah, with some goats. Goats that don't like being near you.
Like, my God, yeah.
But again, 50% of the page is taken up by art, which again isn't a bad thing. But I don't mind a book that's big and thick and beefy.
I don't like it because it means I have to flip more pages to get to the shit I want.
I kind of almost agree with you. Like, if it's going to be too big to lug to the game store, that's right. They're getting rid of game stores and they're just doing VTT from here on out.
Yep. Yeah, well, we'll get to that. All right, let's keep going. So then there's the other stuff they were releasing.
So they also announced that there's going to be a number of other books. They finally provided a sneak peek, which is just the picture of Vecna, for Vecna, Eve of Ruin.
By the way, I should
mention, the Player's Handbook is coming out on May 21st, 2024, along with Vecna, the Eye of Ruin, which is May 21st, 2024.
Okay, you did it too. So you just called it the Eye of Ruin. And when I first saw this, I didn't read it correctly, and I read it as Vecna, Eye of Ruin. It's Vecna, Eve of Ruin. But when you're talking about Vecna, why is it not Eye of Ruin? I mean, his eye is literally a very powerful magic object.
Because he's whole again. The eye is not separate from him.
It still should be an Eye of Ruin. It's Vecna.
So the Vecna adventure is going to be the first adventure since the post change, and they said that the adventure is going to go straight to level 20 because you can't really be less than level 20 to fight Vecna, or at least stop him. I don't think you can probably win.
I mean, you really shouldn't have been fighting a god in Icewind Dale before level 20, but yet you were level 12. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. But it's supposed to basically be this supposed to be a culmination of all the stories to this point where you've seen Vecna kind of working his way through the background, making an obelisk here, chasing down Asarak there, scaring Asarak away, so he has to go make a, god of death. Getting back his hands, getting back his eyes throughout 4th edition. And so now we're actually fighting Vecna again. I don't know if you fought him in 3rd, but I know he had some modules in
Vecna was barely a thing in 3rd. Vecna was a hand and an eye.
So Vecna coming back now to his canonical roots, as it were, as a big bad in Dungeons and Dragons.
Greyhawk. Oh wait.
In Greyhawk, because Stranger Things used the term Vecna for their bad guy. This book is either going to be amazing, or it's gonna suck. I mean, granted, you can say that about anything, really, but I'm saying if they treat it right and they bring in all the elements of D&D history to basically have you plane hopping, multiverse traveling around to stop Vecna in his Eye of Ruin.
Yeah. That's a thing now.
I think it's going to be really fun, and it's something that I'm looking forward to doing. And I hope that he wins. Honestly, I hope that the players are able to stop his plan from destroying everything, but he ends up being in a better, bigger place than he were, because, not to get into spoilers, a lot changed in Baldur's Gate 3 that would have direct effect on what Vecna does. So
I am happy that they're releasing a level 20 module.
They also don't mention when it starts. I don't think it starts at 1. Well, I believe it starts at a later level, 10 or so.
That's fine. I'm just happy that they're releasing a level 20 module. I don't care what level it starts at, unless it started at 20, then they'd be kind of dumb.
Level 20 module starts at 20.
Yeah.
Starts at 19. Good luck.
Yeah, but for me, it's just a module. I'll never use it. I'll probably never play it, and I definitely won't ever run it. So.
Okay, yeah. Be more positive. Okay.
I've never changed my tune on the modules that they release. Yep, it's just a module.
So the next product coming out is the making of original Dungeons and Dragons from 1970 to 1976.
Oh, you skipped one.
No, I haven't.
Well, you're looking at different. I'm looking at the article you had linked in our Discord.
Okay, well, hold on. Which is just it's a non content book. It's like the Legends and Lore book that I purchased recently. It's just a how-to coffee table book about the original origins of D&D. Probably fun to buy. I'm definitely going to pick it up just to kind of read through it. That's more what I was looking forward to seeing in the Legends and Lore book. So I'm hoping for a good thing for that.
Yeah, that's the first book they're releasing next year that I actually give a shit about.
The next storybook is going to be their collage book, which is the quest from the Infinite Staircase, which they didn't really provide much information from other than the title, and that it's basically going to be old adventures updated to fit within the modern setting. And I believe our friend Christian, who was on for the Planescape reviews, stated that this was something from Planescape back in 2E, the Infinite Staircase. So he's hoping that these are going to be a bunch of Planescape modules that they're going to update for 5th edition, which I'm excited for. I like the campaign book. I liked all the previous ones. I don't think that any of them were bad. I like Tales from the Yawning Portal a lot. I love Keys to the Golden Vault. So I'm interested in this one. Whether it's 5 big ones or a bunch of little small ones, in either case, I'm
now,
happy.
From my understanding, though, the original quest, the Infinite Staircase one or whatever, was a bunch of modules already together. So I wouldn't be surprised if they literally just take those old modules and rewrite them for today's standards and call it a day. AKA, they just let the AI rewrite what's already there.
You know what? I'm not disappointed in that. The AI part notwithstanding, if they take,
it would probably be better than some of what's been done. But
I mean, they've done this before where they've taken old modules and updated them, and I've liked all of them. You know, you might question what they did with Tomb of Horrors and making it less easy and some of the edits, but I don't really think they edited anything. I think just the power level of the players is vastly different. Like it's really hard to take an old module that was designed to kill players from first edition, throw in fifth edition characters, and expect the same results. Like,
well,
when it's not going to happen.
When you're in first or second edition and you're third level or whatever, and you have 14 hit points, and every monster deals a D8 of damage, it's going to be a lot harder to stay alive than when you're a third level and you've got 28 hit points.
What if you're level 1 and Tolus attack you?
I mean, yeah, sometimes that still happens. Level 1 and level 2 in 5e. It's still easy to die. After that, it becomes a lot harder because then you start just getting more hit points and you're just getting more stuff. But in early editions of D&D, it didn't matter what level you are; it was still easy to die.
Yeah. Also releasing next year and the first quarter half of it is a different take on a product. Let me find the name. Okay, so out here, I think right now is Layers of Entharis. Okay, which is a Ghostfire gaming book. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a campaign setting that they wrote for 5th edition, and they're selling it right now on D&D Beyond. So we're talking about another third-party company selling their content on D&D Beyond. I don't know if it's being sold anywhere else, but essentially, Ghostfire Gaming is run by James Hake, who we had on the podcast a little while ago, and he's a part of Ghostfire Gaming, and now they have his modules. I mean, he wrote most of the 5e modules that everyone loves. So here's more of his stuff on D&D Beyond, which is great. So Grim Hollow Layers of Atharius is already out there right now, and it looks really cool. I've kind of perused a little bit of it. A lot of cool new monsters and feats and stuff. Everything integrates within D&D Beyond, so that's all that I really need to use it. And Descent into the Lost Caverns of Toskanath. I can't.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it either, but it's Tsojcanth. I'm just going to say the J is silent, so it's probably Socanth.
Right. That's also coming out later on. And another one from the Ghostfire Gaming and Dungeon Dudes is one called Dungeons of Drakkenheim. Is the other one that they're doing. That comes out later in December. So I think Descent into the Lost Caverns of
Socanth.
Yeah.
Socanth.
Socanth.
There you go.
Socanth. I believe that is a Gary Gygax update to one of his older adventures.
That's what our buddy Dan was saying, yeah.
Yeah. So you have an old Gary Gygax module being updated. Again, what we just talked about with the staircase, so that's great. And then we got 2.
And let me clarify. Like, Dan was raving about how good that module was for an old Gygax module. So that one I might actually look into.
Yeah, and so then we have 2 other modules from a third-party company that are being put up on D&D Beyond. So honestly, there's a lot of content coming out. It may not all be coming from Wotc in the future, but it does look like they are still reaching out to people, at least people that they've had in their circle, make content for D&D Beyond. So
that's the one thing I've learned about from doing this podcast and just kind of following all this stuff. If you want content for Dungeons and Dragons 5e or 5.5, just don't look for Wotc to produce it. There's tons of stuff out there, but most of it is not Wizards produced.
With the rumor that they moved all their writing in house, and they still have a lot of good writers in house. I can see them from here on out stop producing actual campaigns because all they're doing anyways is hiring third-party writers to a contract to write for them to put out a book, so they can essentially get rid of all their editors and, just keep their main story development guys like Chris Perkins and have them manage a bunch of third-party developers writing new content and stuff. Like, hey, you're going to write the next Tiamat thing. It's going to be levels 1 through 5, and then these guys are going to write 6 to 10. And, pretty much keep doing what they're doing, but just get rid of any internal writers they may have.
Yeah. They may go that route, and I don't hate it.
So I'll work for Ghostfire Gaming too. I don't mind.
For me, I need the physical books more so. PDFs are fine, but I want physical books. So I don't care how they produce them. But being able to get access to physical copies is important.
Well, that's the other thing is you can get. I think Dungeons of Darkham and the other Ghostfire Gaming one. I think you can get those as physical books. They were a Kickstarter, so I'll open it up. I think physical books happened.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be hard for you to get the physical books.
For the longest time, I was very, very focused on just getting Wotc produced materials. My thoughts on that have changed over time. So a lot of these other companies that are producing stuff, I can get physical books from them.
Yeah. So on one hand, there's so much old content out there that I've never seen. Coming in from a 4th edition or even anyone from 3rd edition that Gygax has made. I'm not going to learn to play 1st edition and 2nd edition to play through a Gygax module. I have all my 2nd edition and 1st edition models behind me, and I've read through them. And honestly, they need a good editor to kind of go through and update the style because they were written completely differently. To a style that works for the 5th edition crowd and how people consume content now, and basically restructure the module, don't change any of the key tentpole points, and just work from there. I can see that being something that would be very lucrative for them. That probably won't take a lot of development time.
Yeah, you could put 1 or 2 people on that and get it done.
As long as they don't go to Chat GPT and goes, take this module and make it 5th edition. Start.
Yep. It's done. Hooray. I worked so hard on this.
Now they didn't. Now remember they put out that update to their AIs, and I'm not going to use AI for the generation of new content from here on out.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean they can't take the old content and run it through the AI scrubber.
Yeah, that's fair.
We said any new content.
I wouldn't be surprised if they would pull that.
You're splitting the horse-hairs here.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was the whole VTT thing, because I know we've talked a number of times about it on here. Apparently, Stephen Glicker from Roll for Combat and Professor Dungeon Master, they both got time to play it for a few hours recently. And I haven't heard Professor Dungeon Master's take on it yet, but I did hear what Stephen Glicker had to say, and he said that even Professor Dungeon Master loved it. And Glicker, he's been in the industry a long time, apparently. I'm only recently getting familiar with him, but he was like a goddamn kid in a candy store with that thing. Apparently, it works very, very well. And he's pretty sure it's going to be out sometime next year.
Okay.
I haven't watched the entirety of their podcast because it's literally them for 2+ hours, and I've only gotten 15 minutes of it. But I was trying to sort of get to the core meat and potatoes of it. But for the Dungeon Master side of things, it's very easy to build maps. And from the player side of things, you I could say this is my character, give you a code, you could type in the code and bam, it pulls up my character. Really easy to operate.
Okay. And that was one of the main major things that I mentioned with everything that I've been doing is that it has to be easier than Foundry for me to run with their VTT.
Yeah.
And cheaper. Now,
I don't know about the cheaper part. I haven't, I don't know the aspects of that, but apparently this thing runs real easy and real smooth.
I have to be able to customize what I want to customize. Okay. I had to be able to import stuff. Like, I don't mind necessarily buying like a spell animation pack. Okay. Like, that's something that I've done and will do again. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've bought in miniatures. Okay. Miniature like pieces and stuff. And that's something that I've done and I will do again. I've bought in some map packs. I developed my own maps. That's something that I've done and I will do again. Now, if they restrict me to only using the maps that they provide for their modules, then we're going to have a bad time.
Well, you can build your own maps.
You can build your own maps, but I don't have time to build all of my new maps. Okay. So let's take Waterdeep Dragon Heist, for example. Okay. Waterdeep Dragon Heist doesn't have the best of maps in the book by default. Okay. And even the ones that they do have aren't made for VTT. So a lot of people have gone out there and made multiple different versions of like Troll Skull Manor and all the different maps that you can run across. People have gone through and made maps for all the major dungeons that are at the end of Dragon Heist. And they're not even run during the adventure. So people have gone through and made these maps that are fantastic. And I have not really done a single map for any of the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I have downloaded, and from our Dragon Heist from Reddit, I've got all the maps I need. Okay. So hold on.
Yeah.
So the amount of maps that then you're pulling all those in, and that's basically a map per encounter. Okay. Then I'm running Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I'm running a city-based campaign. So now, not only do I need all the maps for all the encounters for Dragon Heist, but now I need enough random city locations to run random encounters. So it's not just the same freaking crossroads section. I think I have like 3 or 4. I need random sewer tiles. I need random dock maps. I need a lot of random extra maps to kind of fill in the fluff to make the city feel more lived out. So when I send someone to dock A, I can bring up a map with a dock, and then if they go down to dock 36 to talk to another contact, and it's in the ricketier section of the dock ward, I can have a ricketier dock map to pull up. Otherwise, if I'm using the same grid and the same map for it, it's going to be shitty to watch on stream, and it's going to be shitty for the players because you're going to see the same map over and over again and be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to hide behind this barrel again and take pot shots at the monsters. Like, all that shit has to change. I'd be able to need to change it on the fly wherever I want, Like, I have just countless tokens of barrels and stuff, so I can put them on the map and change things around. Like, here's a wagon, and here's a bunch of, here's a vendor that decided to set up at the crossroads, said to sell apples this time. So I need to be able to have that flexibility to keep the show going, essentially.
From what Glicker was saying, and I don't know how in depth how knowledgeable about all of this he is, but the map building process it's almost Minecrafty. Like, it's going to be one of those things where there are people who do nothing except build maps and then sell them.
Well, that's the thing. If you're telling me now I have to buy every single map...
Well, you know how Wotc is. This whole thing is going to be nickel and diming. I have the feeling that for their campaigns that are out there, you're going to be able to just go ahead and buy map packs. This is my assumption. The Icewind Dale one, you can probably just buy straight up from Wotc a map pack that's going to have all the basic maps for it, or any of the other ones that they've released. But there are also going to be people who make and sell their own.
And so right now, and I'll post an image of this in our D&D chat, so you can look at it, and so everyone's going to kind of give an example of what my concern with that is. I think I briefly mentioned it, but I think this deserves more of a explanation of it. So the very first dungeon in the Keys from the Golden Vault is called the Murkmire Malevolence. Okay. And in that, they provide 2 maps. Okay, one is a handout that you're supposed to give the players. Like it's kind of like a crude hand drawing of the museum, and the other is the actual map that they created for you to use as an example in the game, and it's in our Discord chat right now. And this map is fantastic. Okay. All right. This map has grid lines on it. Okay. And while it's not like the art style that I would really like to use for my campaign, okay, I can easily use this in a VTT whenever I wanted to. Okay. Set up some walls and things would be done, secret doors here and there, and be done with it. And I'd be very happy. Okay. But again, it's not really my style of map that I'd want to use in my setting. I want a more realistic look. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to bring up the last adventure, which is Fire and Darkness, written by our good friend Jeffrey Legwood, for his Brimstone Hold map. Okay. Now, there are 2 versions of this one, as there are 2 versions of everything. One with all the notations, one without. Okay. So picture this one without the notations. This map, again, it does align to a grid, which is great. That's not an always thing. Okay, a lot of times maps don't have a grid to align to.
Right.
So this one does have a grid to align to, but there's nothing in any of the rooms. Okay, nothing at all. So now I have to go in and let's say I bought the map pack for this. Okay, for one, there's a tonal shift when it comes to the map. They all both look like they're done by different artists. Okay,
Yeah.
The one has the statues and the swords and the dinosaur all drawn in this one, and this one has nothing. This is just bare empty rooms.
Right.
So now I have to then buy the map pack and buy this map. Okay. Now I have to put work into basically populating this thing with things that I would want to use. And then there are some examples where the maps, if they use the ones that are just default, let's see if I can find a good one here. Like I said, a lot of them don't align with a grid. So it's not like it's going to be very easy to move something in. And when I use the VTT, okay, that they allow people to have early access to, it wasn't always aligned to a grid. Like there wasn't like this map was drawn without a grid in mind. Like all the Frostmaiden, all the Frostmaiden maps are that way. Okay, no grid was taken in mind when Cave of Hunters was drawn out. You can overlay a grid on top of it, but then you have to size the grid to be the right size, and you have to move it in place.
I think with the D&D VTT that's coming out, though, I don't know that it's grid based either, because you have movement distances, and it will let you can click your character to move it, and it will basically allow you to move up to your maximum movement.
I did hear a rumor that ever since Baldur's Gate 3 came out, the idea of movement changed to mirror what they did in Baldur's Gate 3.
From my understanding, he was kind of going into that a little bit, where it feels a lot like Baldur's Gate 3 as far as the usage of it. The movement of it definitely sort of felt that way. The view, like the way it looks, kind of felt that way as well.
Yeah. So like if we're talking about now Baldur's Gate 3 becoming essentially the VTT plus a map maker, okay? I'm not very keen on using that. Which is really odd coming from me, because I love Baldur's Gate 3. It was a fantastic time every single time I played through it.
You played through it way more than I have.
Okay, yeah, and I burned you out of it forever, which is great. By the way.
More or less, yes.
I'm giving you PTSD.
You have.
When I play Chaotic Evil, man, I just play Chaotic Evil. It's just, you should have known the second I killed that chick in the Hag's Coven that shit was just going to go sideways.
Oh, I knew as soon as we decided to stream that shit, you were going to do it.
Anyway, it's just, I don't want that to be my VTT. You know, like my opinion on that may change. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of our thoughts on this whole thing might change once we see the actual product. From what
a
what
lot of it comes down to this. It's like I use the VTT. Okay, specifically me, and I'm not talking about anyone else. I use my VTT to emulate and enhance playing around the table. Okay, I want to be able to take my game and stream it like I was playing around a table with my friends, or I could hook it up to a laptop, hook it up to a TV, you know, and play it around the table with my friends, and have it be both exactly the same. I like the fact that everything is tied to a grid. I like the fact that we're still using the movements as we were playing around a table. Now, this may be my old man yells at cloud moment.
That's what I'm hearing right now.
But I don't want it to change to Baldur's Gate 3 style movement. And actually, hold on a second. Hey, Shelly, come here a second.
Well, whereas that style of movement for Baldur's Gate, hang on, that style of movement for Baldur's Gate is what I'm used to. The grid thing wasn't a thing that we used for a long time. I didn't start using grids till 3rd edition.
So, Shelly, if I hope the voice comes through well enough for everybody to hear this.
You have to get closer to your mic.
Talk right into the mic when we talk. Okay. All right. So, if I start using the D&D Beyond VTT, and the movement and the usage of your abilities and whatnot is close to Baldur's Gate 3, would you play?
No.
Not at all. And why is that?
Because I don't like the way Baldur's Gate moves and the way the actions are and stuff like that. It's too confusing. It's too all over the place. It's not very clear. No, I would not.
Okay. Would you want to continue doing it like I do, where I emulate essentially what we're playing at the kitchen table?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm just hearing old people yelling at clouds right now.
Listen, we'll yell at clouds all goddamn day long. No, but
get with the times, man.
But like at the other hand too is like if I was to play a game, I would not turn away playing in that style. You know.
You know me. My tabletopping, I only want to tabletop in person. I have no interest in playing D&D online. That being said, if this VTT turns out to be more like a video game, you'll be much more likely to actually get me to play it. Because if I feel like I'm playing a video game, I can do that. I mean, I do that every night with you anyway.
Yeah, my problem then comes in too, where like, so I kind of feel like when I play on the stream, whether it's me playing a PC or playing the DM, I'm in the mindset that we're playing a role-playing game, and it's all about the role play and the role play primary and the combat secondary. With playing Baldur's Gate 3, okay, and you were the victim of this. There is no role play because I am playing a video game. My objective is to murder the other enemy team so fucking fast and hard that they don't get a chance to react, because if it's red, it's dead. That is the only mentality from a video game standpoint. If it's red, it's dead. Well, there's no opportunity to play Baldur's Gate 3 without no opportunity to play Baldur's Gate 3 and role play unless it is forced by the players who take time out of their day to do it. Now, we all can have quirks in how we approach things, like here's Tiny, who's just this sneaky sneaky rogue, and here's Geark, who just wants to murder everybody, and here's Morgos, aka Janet, who can't make up his mind what class he wants to play, and here's the Hortus, who's going to be the good guy. Like, we can have quirks as we play, but that's not playing a character, because it's still a video game at the end of the day. Only one person's choices matter.
I mean, it's almost impossible to play a character online fully anyway, because you can't you don't get to read proper facial expressions a lot of the time, and you have to pause and wait. You have to pause and wait with everybody talking. Like, you can't all interact properly.
But that's why I set up my D&D stream and the VTTs that I do the way that I do. Everyone has to have a camera. Everyone's using on the Discord, so you can see everybody there you're talking to. Okay? So everyone's there in Discord. Everyone can see each other. It's like going to work,
but only one person can talk at a time. I mean, we've tried.
People overtalk each other all the time, like right now.
We tried to do a podcast on here with 4 people before, and that's a nightmare.
I mean, it's a nightmare too when you have 4 people talking over you at the kitchen table. But that's something that the DM has to get in there and manage.
I don't know. I do it fairly well with 7 people at the table. So
right. So I do it fairly well doing the VTT. That's honestly not an issue that I foresee.
I mean, that is the issue and why I don't do it.
Again, I don't have that problem as someone who does it on regular. But I will say is that if you make D&D a video game and their VTT is Baldur's Gate 3, and the DM's job is regulated back to throwing the monsters out there and pretending to be the monsters fighting the players, and there's real-time combat going on, shrug, who knows, then am I playing a Baldur's Gate 3 like video game, or am I role-playing?
Like it wouldn't be real-time combat. Like it's still D&D.
So was Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3 was very much a video game. Very much so.
One of the biggest problems they talked about was the fact that they couldn't implement all the spells that they wanted because those spells would essentially double the programming of the game.
Sure.
So are you essentially going, okay, well, we have this as a baseline. Okay, Dispel Magic doesn't work. But now that we have a DM to basically be the code we haven't created yet, that's your job now.
Yeah,
make the maps, be the code we can't automate for you. And once we can automate you, go away.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't want to play. I don't want my tabletop experience to become a video game just as much as I don't want my video game to become a tabletop experience.
Yeah, I like I said, it's for me specifically. I am much more likely to play it online I don't necessarily want it to be a video game. I need it to feel more video game-esque. If it feels like it's D&D, then it's not ever going to work for me.
So how about this? How about you come join my VTT game for a little bit? Play Mario while to the game.
I mean, I tried doing the whole Star Wars game for a while, and that was just the most boring damn thing I ever did. So.
Well, the Star Wars game was very uniquely different, made for a unique set of grumpy old farts.
Well, I also ran Icewind Dale online, and I played in another campaign online during COVID, and that was also some of the worst things that we've done. So,
did the fizzy bubbles hurt your tongue?
No, it wasn't a matter of fizzy bubbles. It's just, we're trying to run a tabletop game, not around a table. Can't have the side conversations. You can't do, you can't run it fully.
But see, like, I strive for that to happen in my VTTs, and I don't have a problem with it.
I mean,
it sounds like you haven't found the right DM yet, Jay.
I was the DM.
you need to come to DMs Anonymous, or we
are DMs Anonymous here.
We stream to the audience exactly what's going wrong with you. You can't play VTTs.
Yeah, I like being in person, man. I need that clickety clack of dice.
It's funny you say that too, because Dimitri plays with physical dice still, while everyone else uses the roller, and I'm fine with it. And I still hit the clickety clacks, perfectly fine. And if I need to make a quick roll without using the builder, oh shit, a crit! I got my die right here.
Yep.
So
it's whatever.
There's a lot of effort that I put into making sure the VTT runs like everyone's around the table, and that is exactly what I don't want to lose with the new game.
Yeah, and we'll have to wait and see. I've got very little information on it. All I know is that 2 very well-known DMs who were very highly critical of the VTT before actually having access to it, both turned around very quickly after playing with it.
I'll turn my opinion around too for $20,000.
Well, I don't think either of them got paid. They just got to play it. So
I'll turn my opinion around and let me play it.
Yeah, well, apparently he's Glicker did mention that they are planning to start sending out beta keys to this thing soon. So it would, if that is the case, it is well worth your time trying to get in on that.
We'll see.
Yep.
So next topic we have.
Oh shit! I thought we were done. All right.
The Unearthed Arcana playtest 8.
Oh, that's right. They fixed monks who were not broken.
We'll actually cover it next week because we have no more time now.
Oh, okay.
We're literally like an hour and a half plus, I think.
No, we're like 10 minutes past an hour.
So. Okay, so yeah, playtest 8 next week when it no longer matters.
Yeah. That'll give me a chance to not look over it. So, all right. Well, that's it for this week. Bye, Craig.